Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Mieko. I am an indie romance author, and I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any questions for me that you would like for me to answer in this Q&A. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna answer pretty much all of them, hopefully, and hopefully you guys will, learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about my work, and all of that. So the first question is, what inspired you to write? And I would say that really reading has inspired me to write. Like, I've known that I wanted to be an author since middle school, maybe younger. I really, like, I was one of those kids that had like a stack of books on my desk, and I was like coming home from the library with stacks and stacks of books. Like, I was always in the library because I loved books that much. And I sort of felt like I had a story to tell. Like, even I remember in seventh grade, I had one of those like little binders and loose leaf paper, and I literally wrote out like the start of my first book. And it didn't end up like turning into anything, but I already knew then that I wanted to be a writer, an author. But I think that I was just inspired so much by the things that I was reading that I was like, that would be amazing if I could do that too. In a similar vein to that last question, the next question is, where did your love for books come from? I don't think I have a good answer for this question. I feel like I always really liked books, and I can't pinpoint like I read this book and it like changed my life sort of thing. Like, I have always liked books, at least from my memory, and I think I just really enjoyed the like escapism, like new world sort of thing. And I'm also not someone that really likes TV or movies or anything as much as I like books. Like, I will much rather pick up a book and read versus watching a movie or a TV show. What is your favorite thing about being an author? This is hard. I feel like I love all of it. Like, I love being able to interact with you guys and for the community to just be so amazing. And like, I guess this isn't from an author standpoint, but just being a part of the community and being able to talk about books and being able to like enjoy the same things, being able to share in the joy of reading. I love that so much. Specifically as an author, I love the like serotonin that I get from finishing a book. Like, the looking at a whole document and being like, wow, all of this came from my brain and now it is like a tangible thing that exists. That's an amazing feeling. I also really enjoy meeting you guys in person. I've only done it a couple of times, but it's so like I get caught so off guard, especially when I'm somewhere like just not as an author and just as a reader or just like as a person. When someone comes up to me and is like, "Oh my God, I love your books," and I'm like, "Me? You, me?" So it still catches me off guard, and I love the community of it. I love the sense of accomplishment that I get when I finish a piece of work, and I love being able to meet all of you. What are three pieces of advice you'd give to another aspiring author? I think the first piece of advice would be to just do it. And I know that that is so much easier said than done, but you really just have to like decide to do it. You have to say, okay, I'm going to release a book, or okay, I'm going to start writing the book, or like whatever stage you're at in your process, whether you've already written the book or you want to start it, I would say just to do it, because at least for me, there was a lot of fear in even just starting the process. Like, I was like, I can't do that. What do you mean? And once I was able to get over that hurdle of like the concept of doing it, that also helped a lot. I would say number two is to make sure that you establish a support system, because if you're anything like me, then there's going to be a lot of times in which you want to stop, in which you want to give up, in which you want to press delete and put the whole document in the trash. And you have to have someone that'll be like, well, hold on, wait a minute. It's not trash. Maybe you need to just step away. Like, you need to have someone that will both encourage you, but also know when it's time for you to be like, hey, you need a moment. Let's come back in a couple days or something like that. So first would be to just do it. Second would be to make sure that you have a support system. And third would be to try to block out all of the noise. And I know that that is also easier said than done. But there's so much in the space of like what people want, what people don't want, what sells, what doesn't sell, things that come along with being a marginalized community, like the fact that the publishing industry is so, how it is. And you sort of just have to do it anyway. Like, you cannot let yourself get so bogged down by all of the outside factors, all of the outside influences, because that can really stop you from ever even starting. So, those would be my 3 pieces of advice. The next question is, who's your biggest inspiration? And for that, I think I would, as corny as it may sound, and I swear I'm not saying this because we're friends, but JL Seekers and Natasha Bishop are 2 of my biggest inspirations, like, ever. Especially, I was I was one of the first people, if you scroll all the way back to her first ever videos, I was one of the first people in JL Seekers comments on TikTok being like, hey, here's my credit card. Tell me when that book's coming out because I really want it. And then her book, Revive Me, was also the first ever Black indie romance that I had ever read. Like, it truly was something that like really opened up my mind of like, hey, this whole other world that you didn't know about exists in terms of like indie publishing and characters that actually look like me and, that whole thing. And so being able to watch them accomplish such great things and, really be there in the Black indie romance community, like, they are 2 people that I look up to greatly. The next question is your next book going to be a full length or a novella? So if you are new to me and you don't know about my books, then Take a Chance is my first book. It is a novella, technically a novelette because of the word count. Like, I think it is about 16,000 words, something like that. And I released that in May of 2023. And then this next book is So This Is Love, and it comes out February 4th. By the time you're watching this video, it might already be out. But that book is full length. So it is about 65,000 words, something like that. I don't know how many pages that translates to at this moment, but it is a full length, which was my goal going into writing the second book. Like, I really enjoyed writing a novella first because it gave me instant gratification almost. Like, the time that it took me to write was so much shorter, and so I was able to write it and release it and have that feeling of like, hey, I can actually do this. But now I was like, I want to challenge myself. I want to write a full length book and see how that process is. And so, yeah, So This Is Love is full length. Would you ever want one of your books to be turned into a movie? Yes, but I think any of my books being adapted to the screen would be amazing, whether that's a movie or a short series or anything like that. Like, that would be amazing. It would reach a much wider audience. It would be a new format for the media to be consumed. However, I would only want that to happen if it's done right. And I know that like you can't really know how something's going to be before it like exists, but I would be hesitant to for it not to be what I want it to be, if that makes sense. And because it's not all up to me, because I would be releasing the power into other people's hands, I would be afraid. But also, I think if the right opportunity came and I was able to be fully confident that whoever had the rights was able to do it, then absolutely, that would be amazing. So, yes, hesitantly. This next question says, what gets you out of a writing slump? If I'm honest, I don't know. So writing So This Is Love has taken over a year. And I reached a slump many times during that, but also life got in the way. And so I had to take a pause in order to like do other things. I would say probably not trying to force it. So if I'm really struggling, I'm really having a hard time, sitting down and sitting at the computer and trying to force more words out isn't going to work. Like, it isn't going to make more words appear that weren't already in my brain. And I think that if anything, I need to take a step back and do something else. So if it's summer, to go outside, have fun, whatever, or even just reading. Like reading books really turns on my brain in the sense that if I'm reading something else, it like makes my own characters start to talk to me. Like they're like, hey, I know you're reading about somebody else falling in love, but like we're over here where you left us. So I would say not trying to force it, not making it a more of a stressor, getting out and doing something else, but also reading. If each of your books were a color, what color would they be? This is funny because I actually think this. Like, I'm someone that believes that like months have colors. For example, like January is navy blue. It's so obvious to me. But in terms of my books, so This Is Love is for sure pink and like almost like a hot pink. It's the color that I've been using for the like all of my Instagram posts. Like that color is So This Is Love to me. For Take a Chance is like a really pale blue. Like the color of like water or the ocean when it's like that like crystal blue waters. Like that's the color of Take a Chance for me. In terms of future books, there is Layla is the female main character of So This Is Love, and her best friend is Zara, and Zara is eventually gonna have a book. Zara's book is gold, and the next book that I actually plan to write, that book is like smoky gray. I know that's so vague because you have nothing to do, like no idea what those two books are, but yes. Hot pink for So This Is Love, light ocean blue for Take a Chance, gold for Zara's book, and smoky gray for the next book that I hope to release. What has been your favorite story to write? I really enjoyed them both. Like they are just different. Like they're just different. Back on Take a Chance fondly because I don't know, it was such a fun time. Like I'm someone that has like vivid memories. Like I can see memories in my head and I can see myself as I'm writing it. It was a different time. But also, So This Is Love. I've had the story for this book since March of 2022. So the amount of time that these characters have been with me, I feel very protective over them. I feel like very close with them. So writing them has been so much fun, and being able to finish their story and be like have their whole story as a finished book is so much fun. So I don't think I'm able to pick a favorite. Will your next book be in the same world as Take a Chance? Yes. So I'm hoping that my books can sort of exist in a universe. Like they don't necessarily go together, but you'll see different threads. They'll be in the same world, if that makes sense. And fun fact for the combination or the correlation between the two, Take a Chance was about Cass and Cyrus, and in So This Is Love, Layla works for Cass at Lovely Day. So they are connected, and you'll see like pieces of Cass in Layla's story. So I'm hoping that as I continue to write, I can just broaden this world and make it full of my own characters. I love your writing style. What genre takes you out of your comfort zone? Thank you so much for loving my writing style. It's actually is one of the things that I can get a little insecure about because I don't know. Comparison is the thief of joy, and sometimes I get so in my head about like this isn't good enough. This isn't like you're not being visual enough. You're not being like explaining enough. You're doing too much showing or telling versus showing. Like I get very in my head about my writing. So I really appreciate saying that you love my writing style. The genre that takes me out of my comfort zone as an author would be fantasy. I've had a story idea or like the beginnings of a story idea for a fantasy book for a very long time. Like probably high school maybe, or pre-college. Yeah, but the concept of writing a fantasy really makes me nervous because as an author, I'm someone that like I will get like the inkling of an idea. I'll have a jumping off point. I'll have some pieces in the middle, and then I'll have the end. And I go along the journey to figure out how we get from point A to point B to point Z, and just as I go. But with fantasy, I feel like you have to be so much more forward thinking. You have to build a whole world. You have to set up the pieces. You have to like really be more of a plotter than I feel like I am. And so I would love to write a fantasy book one day, but I don't think that I have the tools yet to do it. Are you a tea or coffee girl? Both. I have been drinking green tea since I could stomach it, honestly. Just the nature of growing up with a Japanese grandmother, like we had tea all of the time, like green tea, tea rice. I was a tea girl. I didn't become a coffee person until college. Before then, the thought of coffee was gross to me. But now I enjoy a good cup of coffee. I don't have coffee every day, but I just got a new Nespresso. Shout out to my friend. And I enjoy making coffee. Like I enjoy the process of like making a cute, fun little drink. So I would say that I am both, and it just depends on the vibe. It depends on like what the mood is. I will say that I probably drink more coffee than I do tea, but I feel like I am more of a tea person than a coffee person. This next one says, would you ever host your own book event? Yes. So this is one of my author goals. Like this is something that I would love, love, love to do. I already have ideas on like what I would like to do or what I would like to be, but I haven't gotten there yet. And I think that a lot of it has to do with like how much planning it requires because I've just been so busy. Like 2024 was no joke, probably the busiest year of my life. Like I had no time for anything. And so now as I'm, trying to release more books and focus on like building my catalog, my backlist, I don't know if I'm at the space yet where I want to do an event, but I really like it's one of my goals. So not for 2025, probably not in 2026, but maybe. Can you give some Black romance book recommendations? Absolutely. I love Black romance. Like it is near and dear to my heart. Especially indie Black romance. Like that is the whole reason, like I said before, why I'm even an author is because I found indie Black romance and I felt so seen, so welcomed, so everything. So absolutely. Some of my favorite Black indie romance authors, as you can probably see around me because I'm sitting in front of my bookshelves, would be Christina C. Jones, J.L. Seegers, Natasha Bishop, A.E. Valdez, Asia Monique, Casey Mills. Kennedy Ryan is a hybrid author. Who am I forgetting? Daniel Allen. I love all of them so much. If you want more specifics, maybe I'll make like a my favorite Black romance books separate video. I think that would be better if I made a separate video and talked about that. So I love all of those authors and their backlists are amazing. If you want more, let me know and I'll make a separate video. What's your favorite drink on a night out? I don't usually go out that much. Like that is not one of my pastimes. But if I am out or like if I'm getting a drink at dinner, I am a lemon drop girl. Like I love me a good lemon drop. If it's not a place that I want to get a lemon drop at, like if that's not the vibes, then I will opt for a Moscow Mule. I love a good Moscow Mule, especially with a splash of pineapple juice. So yes, those are my two go-tos, either a lemon drop or a Moscow Mule with pineapple juice. And that pretty much wraps up all the questions. I hope that this was informative and you learned something new. I really appreciate you all leaving me questions to answer for this video. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.